Hi, I am Mason Johnson from Professor Prados' Tuesday rotation from 12:30 to 1:45 for Perspectives on Global Cultures, and this is my research paper over Tokyo, Japan. The story of Tokyo begins in 1457, when the samurai Otodoka built a castle in the small fishing village of Edo. The castle was for the Usugi clan, who exercised political power over Japan until 1603. In that year, Tokugawa Ieyasu became shogun and established Edo as the capital. His shogunate ruled for 265 years, over 15 generations, and by circa 1800, Edo's population approached 1 million inhabitants. But in 1867, Tokugawa Yoshinobu, Japan's last shogun and the final ruler in the Tokugawa shogunate, surrendered political power to the royal emperor of Japan. Yoshinobu was succeeded by Emperor Meiji in 1869, the ruler responsible for changing the capital's name from Edo to Tokyo, which means Eastern City. By Meiji's death in 1912, Japan had gained a constitution, an electoral parliament, a powerful military, and growing industry. Subway stations were built by the 1920s, and the Tokyo airport opened in Haneda in 1931. In the 1950s, Japan joined the United Nations, and Tokyo began a television broadcasting service across the country. The 1980s brought exponential economic growth to Tokyo thanks to Japan's involvement in the global economy, but the growth took a hit in the 1990s when the bubble economy burst. The economic boom was somewhat revived through fiscal reconstruction programs, which helped Tokyo's population surpass 12 million by 2001 and 13 million by 2002. Today, Japan has the third highest GDP of any nation. Tokyo is the most populous city in the world at 37 million inhabitants, but the population is expected to begin declining in 2020 due to the city reaching maximum capacity. The daytime population of metropolitan Tokyo averages 15 million people, a 2 million person difference between the nighttime population of 13 million. This daytime influx is largely due to workers and students traveling in from the nearby districts of Kanagawa, Chiba, and Saitama. The ethnic classification of Japan can be described as homogeneous, as 90% of the population comprises of natural-born Japanese citizens. A minority of approximately 1 to 3 million Barakumans, 1 million Koreans, and 650,000 Chinese inhabit Japan as a whole. Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Ryukyuan, and Ainu are the most common languages spoken throughout Tokyo. In Shintoism, Buddhism, Protestantism, and Roman Catholicism are the most practiced religions. Until the Meiji restoration of the 1860s, Tokyo's economy was driven heavily by agriculture. Today, Tokyo's economy is driven primarily by consumer electronics. The city contributes to 19% of Japan's overall gross domestic product, and GDP per capita in the city is $68,776. Over 9.6 million people in Tokyo find employment with one of the 660,000 businesses operating in the city. The largest economic sector of Tokyo centers on IT services and consumer electronics, and these markets account for 34% of its economy. Businesses such as Sony, Canon, and Nippon Telegraph and Telephone are headquartered in Tokyo, all making great contributions to this economic sector. Research institutions make up the second largest sector of the economy with an 18% contribution, followed by a 16% boost from real estate services. The smallest major economic sector in Tokyo is manufacturing. Manufacturing businesses like the Honda Motor Company, the Tokyo Shipyard, and Connected Robotics contribute to 10% of Tokyo's economy. Tokyo is in the southern Kanto region of Japan, roughly 130 feet above sea level. From the east, Tokyo is bordered by the Edogawa River, and as well as the district of Chiba, Japan. Japan itself is a very mountainous nation and has a subtropical climate. West of Tokyo lies vast mountain ranges formed by Mount Fuji and Mount Takao. North of Tokyo is the Saitama district, and to the south lies the Tamagawa River, along with the Kanagawa district. Infrastructural development is certainly not something lacked by Tokyo. The Tomai, Joban, Kanastu, and Tohoku expressways, for example, all begin in Tokyo and spread throughout the entire country. The Shinkansen, or bullet train network, is also a staple of Japanese infrastructure. Bullet trains traveling on routes from Tokyo Station can reach speeds in excess of 130 miles per hour, allowing for rapid connection between major cities all across Japan. Shipports are also a critical aspect of Tokyo's infrastructure, the Port of Tokyo being Japan's primary channel for international trade. Air travel through the Tokyo airport is also a large component of the capital's infrastructure. Tokyo is loaded with various cultural quirks and traditional practices incorporated into 21st century living. Today, sumo wrestling is considered the national sport of Japan, even though it was established 1,500 years ago. Sumo competitions were once used for entertainment for religious leaders, and were used to raise money to build temples, shrines, and castles. In modern Tokyo, the sport carries many complex religious themes and ethical codes, and is viewed in high regard by the Japanese population. Another interesting aspect of Japanese culture is the way in which individuals greet one another. A common way of greeting others in Japan is to bow to them. Often, a simple nod will suffice for casual occasions, but stooping lower to bow and bowing for a longer period of time is considered an act of deep respect, apology, or gratitude to someone. It may seem rude for one to smack their lips or slurp food in many countries, but in Japanese culture, it is seen as something courteous. The Japanese see slurping dishes with noodles specifically as a sign that the food is delicious, that it is being enjoyed, and therefore pays due compliments to the chef. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.